it is amazing to see that finally the press is saying what I've been saying on this channel for more than 2 years now. And that is the fact that we do live in the dark age of creativity. If you look at Hollywood right now, everything is a sequel, everything is a remake. There's very little originality. You look at Disney, all they're doing is like they're focusing on live adaptation, and their cope is that they care about their IPs not expiring. But the reality is, if that's the case, you can just make like a 5 or a 10 minute movie. Like just replay a song from one of these famous classics, and that's it. You protect your IP. It's not about them trying to prevent their IPs from expiring. It's about a larger cultural trend where most of the Western companies do not innovate anymore. And if you want to see a comparison, just look at the anime. And there is like the meme with the isekai, and it's like, oh yeah, like all isekai. But like all isekais are not the same. They have like different concepts, different characters, different behaviors. And some of them are ridiculous, like someone gets isekai'd into a vending machine, other people get isekai'd into a spider. Like you have the isekai genre, but within the genre, everything is creative, everything is new and different. It's kind of like, the West used to have the zombie genre, and you had like different takes on the zombie movie, but the characters were different, the story was different, the zombies had different abilities, like that's fine. What is not fine, however, is when you have The Walking Dead and you get like 15 seasons, 12 spin-offs, a cartoon, like that type of thing. It's like they keep milking the same IPs over and over and over to the point where there's little creativity left. And the problem that you have in the West, and I think like this is the worst one, is that you have like these writers which do not really like the original IPs, right? Like you have, let's say, a woman that used to be like the popular girl in class, and she didn't really like Star Wars. Like she saw it as like a geek thing, it's like a child thing, like Star Wars. Ugh, what is that? Right? Like grow up. Why are you still playing with your robot dolls? But these people get placed in charge of the project. Now probably these people would like to tell a different story. Like maybe they would like to tell a soap opera, or maybe they would like to tell like some drama like the Titanic. But they're given Star Wars instead. Like they have to use this IP because this is what Hollywood thinks it will sell. Like they're not confident enough to invest in something new. They want to avoid risk, and they believe that if they give Star Wars to this lady, then the fans are going to be forced to watch Star Wars, right? Because like when you give the IP, you also give the fandom as well. Like the people are having no choice but to watch it. Reasons. So like that, now that she has access to Star Wars, but she doesn't want to write Star Wars, she's going to write some slop. Right? And this is when she will say, it's like, oh, well, it's time for Star Wars to mature. It's time for Star Wars to be more complex. And she's going to write something that has absolutely nothing to do with Star Wars. So what ends up happening is that the fans aren't happy. The writer probably isn't happy either, right? Because at the end of the day, they don't want to write Star Wars, but they're forced to. And you have like what I like to call the dark age of entertainment. And it is the dark age because I genuinely think 10 or 20 years from now, nobody is going to try to watch stuff that came out in 2023, 2022. Right? Like these years are going to be considered years where nothing came out. Right? And if you don't believe me, like go to the Oscars and look on Wikipedia and look for the Oscar Best Picture. And if you look at the past, like the Best Picture were movies that everyone knew. They're absolute classics. Like even now, you watch Forrest Gump, and even though the technology has advanced and that movie looks old and the acting is what it is, you're going to notice that, oh, it's actually enjoyable. You're going to say, oh, wow, like this is actually fun, despite the fact that I'm watching it in 2023 and this movie was made decades ago. I really like Forrest Gump, and it's true for almost all of the previous motion pictures. However, if you look at the motion pictures that came out recently, I don't even know what those movies are. I don't like, if you go on the street and you say, hey, did you see the motion picture of 2022? No one knows what it is. And the reality is, if you were to sit down with your friends and say, hey, let's watch this together, most of them would be bored and they would say it's a bad movie, despite the fact that it is, the best motion picture. And this is where we're at. We're at the point where there is no creativity. And the only thing that they know how to do is to take an IP that already exists, do some genome splicing with the actors and the characters, do a little bit of race swapping, gender swapping, and they use the outrage from the marketing in order to push that movie and say that, oh, well, if you don't like it, then you're a racist. And if you pay the mouse, if you pay the fee for the mouse, then you're fighting against racismus. So if you're a good citizen and you want to fight against racismus, go watch the movie. And the problem is that this strat is getting nerfed. Like, many people are catching on and they're realizing, like, hold on a little bit. If I'm anti-racist, why do I have to give $70 to the mouse? Like, that makes no fucking sense. So people are not watching these movies anymore. Like all of this race baiting, like, we make Ariel black. It's like, the problem is no one wants to watch Ariel. Like, we already seen Ariel. We already know the story. If I want to watch Ariel, I can watch the classic. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. There is no point in why I should watch the live adaptation for Ariel or Beauty of the Beast or any of the other live adaptation Disney movies. Where they take a classic and all they do is inject their ideology. Like, did you know Pinocchio is a story about transgenderism? Like, I'm not kidding. The live adaptation of Pinocchio, like, in the end, Pinocchio doesn't really get turned into a boy. Like, it's implied that actually it's what's in the heart that matters. And if Pinocchio believes that he is a boy, then he doesn't really have to go through the transformation and become flesh and blood. Like, he can remain a doll. And it's like all of these things that are like, well, do they add anything to the original story? No. You're just injecting the current day, American politics into it that they're not going to remain as a timeless classic. Like, I doubt that people 10 years from now are going to be concerned with these issues. So you're basically just taking stuff that's already made, and you don't want even to make that stuff, but you want to inject your politics into it. So you're creating stuff that is actually boring, lame, and now even the press is noticing. Now even the press is saying RIP to new ideas. And by the way, like, there's only another explanation. Sorry, there's another explanation for this. If you look at video games like Spider-Man, like Spider-Man 2 cost around $350 million to make. And I'm like, but when you play that game, does it come off as a game that costs $350 million? And the answer is fuck no, right? So, like, they demand more investment because they usually hire like 9 HR ladies for every single artist that's creative on the project to supervise and to monitor them and to create a hostile and toxic work environment. And all those HR ladies cost money, and it adds up, right? To the point where you have to pay like $350 million for a sequel. And there's no way you're going to sell that much. There's no way you're going to get your return on investment. And because of that, companies are very scared of taking risks, right? Like, they will not invent a new game. They do not want to make something new that's not a famous IP. So obviously what ends up happening is this lack of creativity, which is getting to the point where when people see that, oh, this is another Spider-Man game or it's another Suicide, I will pass. I will pass. And they would instead go for an indie like The Coffin of Ashley and Lele or Palworld, and they'll be like, oh, well, this is original at least, Maybe it's inspired heavily from other things, but at least it comes off as new. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.